What is up, guys? Speed here, and today we're going to be ripping apart an Immortal player. Now, big thanks to Edvart for sending in this replay. There were some others in the Discord who also sent in their replays. Sorry to all those who I either didn't get to or simply did not use. But yeah, thank you everyone for submitting, and especially to Edvart for allowing me to use his SF gameplay. Before the video, this is not a gameleap ad. I know this is what you're used to, but it's a coaching ad. So essentially what I want to say is that I'm looking for one more long-term coaching student, right? This is a paid service where you're going to sit down with me for multiple hours a week. So this is only if you have time to invest and money to pay. With me, it's personalized and individual coaching. So if you're interested in doing that with me over a long period of time, hit me up on the Discord. Go to the description down below. Go to our Discord and private message me there. I'll be happy to hear from you guys, and yeah, let me know if you're interested. So the first thing I want to say, because I read your guys' comments, and in the last video I saw that a lot of you were like, oh, well, this doesn't apply in my bracket because the Jakiro was a Herald. Well, actually, the first thing I want to say is all the issues of open lanes and a lot of open farm is in every bracket, period. Watch a replay and count how many waves gets missed, and you will see exactly what I'm saying. It's so many. But in this case, we're going over an Immortal gameplay. So, the game might be a little bit different from your Ancient, Legend, Guardian, whatever game. But, right, this is the best of the best Dota. So if there's a mistake in this bracket, it will be in another bracket. That is for sure. In this case, we're going to be looking at his SF against DP replay. And he's not a mid laner in particular, so you guys can flame the heck out of him in the comments down below. I'm sure he'll appreciate that, but let's get into it. So the first thing, he misses the block, you know. I mean, you could have 6k MMR and blocking doesn't get any better. I guess that's just how it is. Now the first thing I would like to see him do is use creep aggro early on, just to be able to kind of shift the creeps off. And what would happen if he uses creep aggro in this situation, and then his creeps draw to the DP in this case, right? Because if he right-clicks the DP and drags the dire creeps back to him, then what will naturally happen if DP is auto-attacking him, that his creeps will also run to her, bringing her creeps under tower, and his to him under his tower. And then for an SF, that's great. If you're good at last hitting under tower, you get 3 free CS. But in this case, he sort of just trades hits instead of drawing aggro, which I really don't like, right? The DP is up high ground, DP has a lot more base damage, 20, it's not even close, and he's trading hits, so that just doesn't make too much sense. You need to be very careful about that. So you notice now that the lane is just pushing in. This is terrible for him in this case. It's going to be very hard to last it. In fact, he gets denied. Really good, that was fantastic. You guys see the creep aggro there? I want to rip him apart, but, you know, also acknowledge what he does well. So in this case, that was close, but this creep aggro is fantastic, right? Brings it towards himself, preventing the DP from getting the deny. That's huge. Please, guys, start doing that at every single position in Dota. It's massive. Once again, he's creep aggroing again. This is great, right? Look, it gets him that creep. Unfortunately, he misses this melee creep, but overall secures him at minimum 3 CS. Not perfect, not even close to perfect, which is just a result of maybe he's not too comfortable at last hitting on SF, and SF has low damage, but so far so good on creep aggro. If you play mid, like, no offense, Edvart, but come on, you're an Immortal player. I feel like everyone should know this, but the first item you should buy in 99% of matchups mid is a healing salve. If you are playing mid and you're not buying a healing salve, trust me, you're doing something wrong. I'm not kidding, I'm 100% serious. Buy a healing salve as your first item. Let's see where it would have came into play in this case, right? You know, I don't necessarily know. I don't pre-watch these replays, but okay. Wow! Like, as I'm saying this, the worst case scenario for my example comes up. He gets a kill, and there's a regen rune to the north. Actually, this is something that comes with the Immortal bracket, if you guys weren't aware. Once you hit 6k MMR, every time you get a kill, a regen rune spawns top. It's actually just part of the algorithm, so, you know. I guess that's just meant to happen. But you can see the point, right? If he didn't have a salve, guys, and he was at 100 HP with no salve, he literally would get completely zoned off this wave and not be able to get a single creep. He would get his entire wave denied purely because he did not have a healing salve. Understand that. Without that regen rune, he's getting this entire wave denied. Entire wave denied. He would have had very limited mana and no HP. Luckily for him, you know, things happen. But do not skip salve. It's good for getting kills, it's good for playing defensive, it's literally good for everything. Alright, so in this upcoming clip, he gets a kill, and I want to point out what he did right and maybe what he did wrong. So in this case, what I would have liked to see him potentially do is hit the DP a little bit earlier. Now, he does eventually do it, which is great, right? Simply because he has this uphill advantage, right? Two things. He has uphill, and DP is next to the creeps, and he is not. Which means, if they trade one-on-one, that she's going to take creep aggro, and he will not. That's a big deal, right? So overall, I would have liked to see him hit her earlier, because now he's on the low ground, and she is as well. Now, in this case, I like the preemptive raise, assuming that she might man up, right? Not only that, he gets the range creep CS. Very nice. But what he does best here is use the bottle to get a nice bit of HP and potentially even keep him alive. Look how much HP that was, guys. I think he got like 80. Okay, maybe he would have lived on like 10 HP anyway. I don't know the exact number, but you saw how crazy that was. It was like a fairy fire. I mean, really, great item usage there. Obviously cutting it close, and that's where like all the little prep going up to a kill matters. If he hit her with a long raise to prep up a kill like that, it would have been better. If he got snuck in 1 or 2 right clicks before he went on her, due to the fact that she was pressured to go for the range creep CS, then once again, it wouldn't have been that close. And, okay, he's just going to run it to Tusk. What the? Alright, Tusk is trash, that's all I have to say. But not a bad laning stage so far. However, I do want to say he ends up losing this game. So we're going to see the majority of mistakes, contrary to the hero video, is in the mid and late game. So a little bit of a switch up. Immortal race coming up. Look, he said thanks. Guys, I'm so nice. So upcoming here, I think we see the first major mistake and the first like sign that this player clearly isn't a mid laner, or at least isn't at the top of his craft, right? Whenever you're playing mid, especially as a hero who likes to stack, like SF, right? Or needs to stack and go take jungle camps, once you can nuke out the wave, which is level 3 raise, that's the typical, then you need to immediately raise the wave and go back if that is your plan. And in this case, he sees the Tusk here. He sees the Tusk, okay? And what does he do? He nukes the wave and starts walking up. Why? Why? What could he possibly do here? He has no plan in his head. You have to have a plan, guys. Okay? Let's say once I hit level 3 raise, like this is why you watch replays. You see, when do they go jungle? Once they hit this point in the game. For him, it could have been this level 3 raise timing. He pushes in the wave and should have been instantly backing to the jungle camp. Literally no time. Not only that, he walks up to a DP. One of the worst heroes to approach in Dota, right? I mean, he's actually done that with success in the past, but it gets him killed, right? And that's simply, literally simply, because he had no plan and didn't understand his strength as an SF, which is the ability to nuke out the wave in 2 races with level 3 raise and immediately go back to the jungle. That would have been a huge efficiency for him. But you can see, like, if you ever hesitate, hesitation gets you killed. It's as simple as that. He knew the Tusk was there, but he hesitated and didn't know what to do. Right, simply, he didn't know farming patterns. Farming patterns keep you alive. Good farming patterns literally keep you alive because they keep you off the map. I talked about farming patterns in the last video, and that's exactly what I mean. Not only do they amp up your farm on a hero like SF or Alk, but they literally protect you from ganks. That's huge. Now at this point, I think he's sort of making the same mistake. Instead of looking to increase efficiency like you should be doing on a hero like SF, he's simply looking to push in mid. Which in this case is okay if he gets a stack, but what would have happened if he cleared the camp, right? If right here, we go back 10 seconds, because this was the 5-minute wave, right? This wave right here spawned at 5 minutes. This one right here, I know it's 5:30 now, but it spawned at 5. If he pushes this in and then proceeds to immediately take this camp, what happens, right? If he killed this right away, backed and killed this, what happens? It spawns again. It's really, like, that's it. In this case, I think he, okay, good stack. That was solid, good recovery, but you can see what I'm saying. Pushing in an even wave as a hero that can stack or take the side camp is crucial. And really listen to that, you mid players. Taking a wave that spawns at 4, 5, 6 minutes, the straight number, is the way to increase efficiency, because then the camp will respawn after you kill it. Okay, now what you're going to see is a smoked SF, even though he's not smoked, it's just a replay bug. But now what you're going to see is the separation between pushing in a wave that spawned at a 30-second mark, which is this wave, right? This wave that is coming under his tower spawn at 6:30, right? And because he pushes this in, look what ends up happening, right? It's this simple. Because he farms it now, look at this awkward farming rotation coming off this wave. Now there's no side camp. And what does he have to do? Well, first off, he has to farm it under tower. And I guess get a kill. He gets a kill, and if he wanted to go back to the side camp now, no, I mean, unfortunately he got a kill, and that kind of throws off my whole example, whoop-de-doo. But let's say he was to just push in the next wave, what would end up happening? There's simply no camp here. He would have to walk all the way over here, which means, I mean, if he was to take both, maybe it's efficient if there were stacks, but he would start missing 1 or 2 creeps in this wave, which wouldn't be efficient. And that's just not knowing the clock. That's not paying attention to the clock or understanding that key tip. Now, I think there's been one clear lacking of this player, and it's the inability to look at the clock and stack camps. Now, I know I mentioned the clock plenty, but stacking camps as well. There's been a lot of downtime where he goes to farm the jungle. For instance, I'm going to back up a bit here, just by a couple seconds, and you notice he's farming this camp, which is great, but what I would prefer him to do, especially if he used this nuke to clear up this camp a bit faster, is then go double stack these camps, right? There's a wave mid, but obviously getting 2 stacks is worth a lot more than a wave for a hero like SF. So I really think there's a complete lack of efficiency, even from an Immortal player, which is unacceptable in the mid wave, right? You always have to be considering what can get me the most farm, or what can put the most map pressure. You know, there's a lot of options, but in this case, as an SF, when you're trying to snowball, especially rushing bots, like literally buys bots first item, which I think is kind of meh. As they do have a lot of kill potential. I mean, movement speed's good, but they have a lot of kill potential, so I really think there's a clear lacking of efficiency. He has the highest CS in the game, which is wonderful. You know, 62 is not bad, especially considering he didn't have the bests of start, but overall, decent play. Once again, we're going to be skipping on to the mid and late game, because I think that's where the most blunders come into play. Okay. He's respawning in 5 seconds, and similar to the heraldic hero, I think he makes sort of a mistake. Now this one's kind of hard to see, and it's actually debatable, so you can debate me on the comments about this one. But he TP's top, right? This Death Prophet is basically dead. Alright, she's actually close to living. So, but she dies without his help, right? He didn't hit a single spell. And then he sort of cleans up this Brewmaster kill, right? Okay, he gets a kill, you know, but it's definitely not his best play for net worth, right? Because let's see what he does next. He's walking through. It's not. What? You're not farming. Like, you're not farming a single wave. You're actually just walking all the way mid to take a tower that was dead. I mean, Shaman was going to take it with the cart wave. So there's really no great reason to be there. And what could he have done instead? Let's go back and really analyze this, guys. Because I think this is what can separate like a really high MMR player that actually is going to carry games. Now, right at this point, he had already TP'd in, and if we go to free camera and look around, we can see just a bottom wave not being farmed, right? That's a lot of farm and map pressure. Now, this could be considered the quote-unquote dead lane, but you see 2 heroes top, Tusk mid, so there's really no threat to going bottom, and what it would do is relieve future pressure, right? I don't know what's going to happen in this lane, but because it is a cart wave, someone might come in and maybe try to siege the tower. Wraith King ends up doing it. But also what he could have done in this entire duration is farm this camp, he could have farmed this camp, then after he farms that, he walks all the way back, pushes in this wave. By the time he pushes in that wave, he then goes back, this will respawn, takes that, and he's off to the races, right? That is going to snowball his team's net worth. Not only that, look what ends up happening, right? Because he's not bottom. The Slark now eventually takes it. You know, okay, right? I guess Slark's not even going to push in the wave. He's hunting. But now, the SFTP's bottom, right? Why? People tell me the things that happen in the Jakiro game don't happen in their game. This is Immortal. This is Immortal. And people are 4-man ganking a Wraith King who was dead at 16 minutes in. Like, it's great to go for kills, but this is totally not the way to amp the farm, right? Now what's going to happen again is that you're in the same lane as your Slark, right? This camp's dead, and what do you have to do? Take one. Yikes. You didn't even kill the small camp. What's happening? Like, can you clearly see, guys? And don't say this trash Immortal player. How is he so bad? How is he even Immortal? Must have gotten lucky. No, this is every single bracket where people just walk around and play with their team when they're a split pushing SF. His build is literally designed to split push. Boots of Travel and Yules is the ultimate pickoff / split push build, right? Because you have super high movement speed, you have a defensive capability in Yules and just purely movement speed, and you have solo kill potential with your Yules, right? Plus you have good mana sustain through your items. So it's literally designed to split push and get to your next item very quickly. That's the purpose of this build. But instead what he's doing is 5-manning and looking for dangerous pickoffs. He can't look for these pickoffs. You have, like, this build, he might be what, the most farmed in the game? Second most farmed in the game? And yet he is still potentially one of the easiest to kill, right? I mean, in a team fight setting, right? I'm not saying like if he's running around, it's easy to catch him. He has 441 movement speed. That would be a lie. But in a team fight, like one Tusk snowball and he's forced to Euls, which then will set him up to any sort of like split combo, right? It's simply not that safe. And in this entire duration, guys, in this entire duration of him going for kills, he has farmed close to 0 crit waves. 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, he killed 2 small camps. Finally pushes in one wave, and what happened because he pushes in this wave? His Slark doesn't get the farm. Do you think this is amping net worth? Do you think these kills are amping net worth? It is 26-7, and he is 4k up. Want to know why? I think you know why at this point. It's because he's not shoving in waves, which as a result does not pressure anyone out of the camps. Now, for instance, if at this point, look at the map, if at this point he pushed in bottom, right? Pushed in bottom, and his team was able to take over this jungle, then they'd be cutting off the resources, right? Because they could shove in mid and threaten people on the mid tier 2. They could threaten people on the bottom tier 2. They could take all these camps, or they could do the same thing top lane. Doesn't matter. You know? Even if he was to set up a kill with this clock, I'd be a little bit happier. Why? Because he'd be away from his Slark, so he's not stealing his Slark's wave. He's not taking his Slark's wave, and maybe he'd be getting a kill, but he's literally kill chasing. Don't kill chase, guys. Do not kill chase. Don't kill chase. Period. Don't kill chase. Okay? It's unreliable for these snowbally type of cores. Even supports. Like, I'd rather see you, all you support players, go find the open wave that your carries aren't farming. If you tell me in your bracket that doesn't happen, and you're not Immortal 500 or Immortal 100, I don't believe you. In fact, I wouldn't even believe someone in Immortal 100, right? Like, there's always an open wave to be farmed, and I think it's a large reason why people can't keep their net worth up, right? You can show up the fights quickly. Like, for instance, this Clockwork could easily be, I think what this Clockwork's doing is potentially the best. Look at his level now. I guess he's an offlaner, but he's level 12 as a hero that barely can farm, just because he's shoving the wave. Not only that, he forces the DP off the wave, right? So I think this is good, but this should be the SF. Or the SF should be bottom. Right? He could kill this Brewmaster with decent execution. If he hits a double raise or into a Euls combo, I think he could kill him. Right? I mean, that's up to you to know as an SF player. But you see what I mean? Now what happens? Right? Once again, what is he doing? Chasing kills. Whoop-de-doo, 251 gold. Do I have to do this again? Do I have to say this again? Let's look at the XP, guys. I did this in the Jakiro video where I clicked on the XP bar and showed you how much he got. Actually, in this case, it looks like he got quite a bit more. But, look, is this really what's going to carry the game? That's quite a bit, but also some of the wave died. And yes, you know, that was good. Okay, I'm not gonna say yes, killing's bad. That's not the point. He's 12-3, which is fantastic. But at the same time, we look at the CS charts, and he's behind a Lifestealer. Lifestealer? You're telling me you can't hunt kills and get more CS than a Lifestealer? Lifestealer has no farming mechanic. Lifestealer doesn't shove waves. He's potentially one of the slower farmers in the regard that, like, his only farming ability is Sword of Rage and Infest. That's kind of it. I mean, he has, like, decent items for farming right at Midas, but there's no way this should be the case. No way. You have to balance. It's as simple as that. Every single bracket of Dota, if you are a farming core, you must balance the two. You must. Once again, whoa, let's see what's gonna happen. Edvard running for the next kill. Wouldn't want to shove this bottom wave that's coming in. You know, you buy boots of travel so you can freaking travel to the next fight on feet. And like, what happens in this case is that you don't really build an item advantage due to the fact that you're not farming. And I mean, he even misheals. And look what happens. Wow, no item advantage. And at one point, you're gonna mess up in the fight, right? Because fighting is somewhat unreliable. It's unreliable. You're gonna mess up. He messes up, right? They have a Death Prophet and a Brewmaster. It's not that strong compared to Death Prophet and Brewmaster. That's not what SF does. But he has no clue what he does. Right? You're not thinking about what your hero does. Think. It's just not some, like, mid-game team fighter. SF is a high early game damage nuke hero, right? You're pretty potent in the early game due to the fact that your raises one-shot almost any hero, and you're decent mid-game with an item advantage, right? With an item advantage, that's the key part. But he has no item advantage, and he's just trying to push it. What about your kit allows you to fight mid-game if you have no BKB? Really nothing. You have no defensive capability, and your offensive capability quickly falls off. It's really that simple. And the important thing to note about all of this and like this SF gameplay is that you can relate this to really any hero. And I mean this. I really mean this, guys. And this is why I've been stressing split pushing so much. It's not necessarily that I think killing is bad. If he was 12-3 but had 200 CS, I'd be like, wow, he's killing it, right? Because he'd probably have his BKB in that fight. And he'd be applying more pressure on the map, right? He would be shoving them in, forcing better fights, right? Because someone has to respond to creeps at the tier 3, right? That just makes sense. But instead, he's just hero chasing. And you know how you had led a team comp with a bunch of cores back into the game? With a jungling Wraith King back into the game? You know how you let jungling Wraith King back into the game? You constantly look for kills and give him space. Because what do jungling Wraith Kings do well? They farm. And why does jungling work? It works. Like, literally, it works. The only reason it doesn't work is because people tilt out. You can jungle. Why? Because people don't farm. And if you have 4 farming heroes, like, this is why 5 cores actually, I think, wins fairly often. I think maybe you guys can attest to this. Shoot a comment down below. No joke. If you think 5 cores is maybe not that bad in solo queue, because I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad. Because what happens is someone's going to take the farm then. And the team with the supports are going to have 2 players who decide, yeah, I'm a support, I can't farm. Then they won't have items. The game goes late like it always does. And you don't snowball. Finally, I think at this point, he starts to realize what the issue is. He doesn't have his item, right? It kind of took him like a slap in the face, like, ow. It took him a slap in the face to realize that he can't just run from fight to fight. He literally has to get an item, because that's what his hero needed. You have to look for item spikes, and I know I keep repeating these things, but trust me, all you core players, if you can really understand this concept and begin applying it into your games, you're going to be many steps ahead of the people around you. Like, facts. Many, many steps ahead. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. They gave me a heart attack. Immortal, lol. But we look at the levels, it's just not excusable to be an SF with a very large lead and only be... Actually, I'm sorry, I was going to say this amount ahead and be even. Even. You can't be even. Like, if you have this good of a start, you can't be even. And hopefully you guys understand why, right? A player like this has so much potential. Edward, he has so much potential. He crushed the game. His spell casting is great. His laning was very solid, right? It was solid. And you guys can see why he can get to Immortal, but maybe he's getting stuck at lower Immortal, right? He's a lower Immortal player, right? Because he doesn't have the ability to continue snowballing these games. I know he's not necessarily a mid player. He did express that. But you have to understand, this applies to every single role, including all you supports in every single bracket, right? I really want you guys to understand that because I think it will change your game. Please, if there's anything you take out of any of the videos I ever make, it is that if you can balance farming with fighting, when behind, when ahead, when whatever, you will get ahead of your opponents. Because now, look what ends up happening. Right? He has bots and he's starting to farm, and it's getting his CS up, which in turn is going to bring his net worth towards the top. Look, he's finally at the top. Once he started split pushing, he finally actually escalated to the top and started creating a gap, right? Because his playstyle changed. Look what it changed from chasing to pushing in lanes into a fight, right? His team's not dying stupidly. I hate when people say that. It's like, I split push and my whole team dies. Well, oh, that was a good glyph. Like, that happens, yes, but it's actually not as frequent as people make it seem. It's just them being like, oh, yes, split pushing doesn't work. They don't want to hear that, right? They want to hear that, like, they're playing perfect. No, you're really not pushing in that many waves. Come on. But no joke. That concept, that's all I need everyone to take away. Literally everyone, every player, every MMR, every role, take it into consideration and apply it. Apply it. Run down a lane. See my boy Spear Breaker? See my boy Rosetta? This is my boy, okay? I don't know who he is, but he's my boy, all right? I'm going to pick him up for my team for next TI qualifiers, all right? Ready? Speed and Rosetta. TI 10. All right, mark it down, okay? Because he understands. He ended up losing this game, so I don't know, but that I liked. He shouldn't be the hero be doing that, guys. Like, trust me, I understand. Spear Breaker is not necessarily the optimal split pushing hero. Charge is good, actually, in that regard. You know what? I take it back. Spear Breaker's the best split pushing hero, but hopefully you can see the point, right? He pushes in the wave, which then does what? It allows the Slark to find the Tusk alone. It's sort of that simple. It opens up the map. Whether or not you want to admit it, it opens up the map. Not only that, it gets you items. Look at this. SF started split pushing. Now what level is he? Right, he's taking the jungle camps in between. I mean, sorry, what net worth is he? 14,000. Right? And that's all, folks. I'm going to wrap up the video there. I hope I got out the main points. Thank you so much for being very supportive of the channel, everyone, lately. The numbers have been great, and all the feedback, comments, likes, even subscriptions are up. Like, literally everything's up. And I honestly do appreciate it. It's been a blast putting out more and more consistent content for you guys. I do enjoy it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, before I leave you, I just want to remind you that over at gameleap.com, you can check out guides just like this one, made by top-tier pros. It will help you gain MMR faster, it will help you learn the game much more in depth, and overall, just increase the experience of your Dota gameplay as you will crush your opponents simply by knowing more than them.